Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
ISKCON Dignity Founder Jaya Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Sing Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasavi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Raj Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Nagari Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Narasimha Rani Ki Jai. Nanda Devi Ki Jai. Dharma Hari Nam Sankirtan Yama Ki Jai. On Aindra Prabhu's 70th appearance day anniversary Ki Jai. How about go up to the temple and get a proper mic stand? How about that? My idea is because I'm going to speak is going to sit. We'll get a proper mic stand. We'll get... Can we find Varshanikata on the player? You know, please remember, and I beseech you again and again.
Should we just play that?
Yeah, let's play that. Who here, by raising of their hand, can say that they're new to understanding who is Aindra? Aindra Prabhu was born on this day in 1953 in what was at that time a small town called Haymarket, Virginia, near the Bull Run Civil War battlefield, now a national park, near the larger city of Manassas, about 60 miles west from Washington, D.C. His family, his mother and father were, how would she say at the time, very progressive, beatnik kind of people. They were like bluegrass, marijuana smoking hippie hillbillies. And they grew up, Aindra grew up on a farm overlooking this Bull Run Mountain, which was a Civil War battle took place there. And he had many different types of animal pets, goats, chickens, dogs, that I can remember. And his family were musicians. They would always have group gatherings coming and they would play all different types of music. So right from an early age, Andrew could play all different types of instruments and was a very accomplished and expert musician. He joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1973. Very nice. And right away took very strongly to all of the principles of Krishna consciousness, all of the rules and regulations, disciplines, and in particular he manifested a very intense appreciation for the process of Harinam Sankirtan. He quickly became Srila Prabhupada's initiated disciple. And he joined the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party. One of Aindra Prabhu's strong points or excellences was his attraction and attachment to deity worship. And he, under the choosing of Vishnu Jan Maharaj, who Aindra Prabhu had a very great appreciation for and even gave credit to him, Vishnu Jan Maharaj, for his inspiration in performing Harinam and deity worship. Even though Vishnu Jan Maharaj met an untimely end in 1976 at the young age of only 28, he became Radha Damodar's main pujari. At the conclusion of the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party, which was in 1978, just after Prabhupada's departure, Aindra tried his best to stick to the process of Harinam Sankirtan. There was a time in our movement when Harinam Sankirtan was being minimized. By and by, Aindra found his way here to the New York Yatra in the spring of 1981. That's when I met him. I had already myself been a devotee for 3 years at that time. We weren't here in this building. We were in a building that no longer exists, 846 7th Avenue, which is between 54th and 55th Street on 7th Avenue, just a block north of the 7th Avenue subway station. Of course, that address has been, with another address, or maybe 3 addresses, has been knocked down, and they're gonna make a gigantic building there, which, since COVID started, is just a big hole in the ground, if anyone wants to go visit and pay respects there.
Was it 4-minute one and a 19-minute one?
March 2009.
Like they're both the same one, one's like edited to be shorter. 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. And Aindra's idea at the time was to go to India, but when he saw the situation of New York City, Aindra had never really been in New York City except to come to the 1976 Rath Yatra. He called himself a country boy. He didn't like the city. Those of you who have seen Aindra's room in Vrindavan and the subsequent hallways of the Brahmachari ashram surrounding his room, that was his creation. Very beautiful Vrindavan cow dung decoration. And he said that my idea was to go to Vrindavan and revive my country lifestyle. But I found myself in a very crowded and noisy Gurukul building, living in a concrete box. So this was my attempt to try to augment or pacify my lonely heart. So this is an example that instead of going to Vrindavan, he stayed here because he saw the opportunity to perform Harinam Sankirtan in New York City was unparalleled. And his 7th Avenue address is an amazing location. It's right above Times Square. And the way the 7th Ave, the road is, it slopes downhill. So you would come out of the temple, kind of the same kind of modus operandi that we have, but not as a sophisticated, custom-made cart. You had like a luggage pull cart with mouse amplifiers and some panels and things, and just go and set up in Times Square, which wasn't all sectioned off and recreational friendly like it is today. And then by and by we moved here in late 1982. Aindra was one of the first men on the beach, first man to storm Normandy Beach. The altar that we see for Radha Govinda, it's been a little more elaborately, not the altar, but the fence, or the fence. Aindra built that himself. and the poles and everything. Um, so Aindra's idea in going to India was he wanted to make a mobile preaching vehicle. Like you see Indian devotees, they have vehicles, trucks, they have the deity inside, and it plays, the kirtan either live or on, recorded on loudspeakers. So Aindra had an idea to do that, and he developed that into a very elaborate North Indian architecturally magnificent temple that just kind of folded into itself. He built the panels and everything himself to do that, and those are some very happy times, 1983, 84, all the way till the end of 1985. And then for various reasons, he decided to go to India and to try to make that program over there. He found himself in Vrindavan, and the devotees were encouraging Aindra to fulfill Prabhupada's desire that there be 24-hour kirtan in Sri Vrindavan Krishna Balaram Mandir. Prabhupada instructed at the opening in 1975 that he noted the Bhagavat Nivas, whom we call the bona fide Kinchana Vaishnavas, is right across the street from our temple, a little to the east or to the left, going towards Lowy Bazaar, right after this big Ban Maharaj college property. And at that time, Prabhupada remarked, 1975, that they had a Kanda Maha Mantra Harinam Sankirtan going for 60 years. That's 1915. And it's still going, so that would mean that they're celebrating their 108 years of Harinam Sankirtan. I lived nearby when I was living in Vrindavan, and you could hear over the loudspeakers. And they were very nice. At night, they would turn off the loudspeakers, not like by the guest house with the Apasampradaya, Nitai Gaur, Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Sometimes they would get into loudspeaker wars with us, who could be the loudest and longest. So I want such a kirtan for our temple. And devotees tried to do that, but ultimately it came down to, I think the GBC at the time said, it's just not practical, it's not viable, we can't do it. So Prabhupada had a Brijabasi friend named Kapoorji, wasn't a disciple, but an elder man, and he lived in Vrindavan, he was retired. And he volunteered his services to be the accountant for the temple. So very intimately related. Actually, he owned the house on the corner of the Prikram Marg, which he donated, or it was handed to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, which is now presently Tamal Krishna Maharaj Memorial Library, if you know that property. So he had a dream where Prabhupada appeared to him and very emotional and said, why is there no 24-hour kirtan in my temple room? So this Kapoorji, he wakes up in a state of wonder, astonishment, and transcendental fright, and goes and alerts Aindra of this dream. He's telling Aindra, crying practically speaking, and Aindra got caught up in his emotion and realized that he should start the 24-hour kirtan. We asked Hansarupa Prabhu to come down. If he's free, he will. He can also tell that story. He was one of the inspirational godbrothers that encouraged Aindra to start the 24-hour kirtan. And through so many years of struggle, Vrindavan in the mid-1980s was a very austere place. There weren't all the quote-unquote amenities that there are there today. And it was very underpopulated. It was still pretty much considered the boondocks, an unsafe place to be walking around at night. So many austerities. And Aindra just dedicated himself to that and utilized all of his talents and all of his abilities to perfect the 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan. And devotees today, particularly those who've been there for many years, like Dina Bandhu, they attribute what Vrindavan is today because of Aindra's performing Harinam Sankirtan there in Sri Vrindavan Dham. That even people that go to other temples at Bunky Bihari, or what is that thing that they created, Prem Mandir, which is basically just like a Disneyland. You know, you can look here and there and all the colored lights and ooh and ah. And you ask people who are coming from Delhi, you know, have you been to Prem? Where have you been today? Are we just coming here? Have you been to Prem Mandir? Yeah, we've been there once or twice, but we want to come here because the kirtan is so ecstatic. Aindra was very, very, very intense and one-pointed and focused in his desire to achieve the ultimate goal of life, which is to understand his eternal relationship. What is his spiritual form, his Siddha Deha, his spiritual body, in relationship to Krishna in his topmost loving pastimes, the Madhurya Leela pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. And in that dedication, Krishna revealed through him so many unparalleled realizations of transcendental knowledge that supported that ultimate goal of life. And by that, Aindra became an extremely attractive and beautiful personality that many devotees sought his association. He was very, very generous in giving instruction and association. He was the epitome of the paradoxical definition of a Vaishnava. He's hard as a thunderbolt, but soft as a rose. So Aindra Prabhu, he left this world in July of 2010. He was only 57 years old. He had performed 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan for 24 years. It is still going on, so that means now, what is it, how many years now? 36 years, going on 37 years. Usually we see some famous personality, they make their contribution, but in the years after their passing, you know, only the immediate people who are around, they cling to that, you know, Elvis Presley fan club, or, you know, the Beatles girls from 1964, or whatever it is, you know. The Beatles, they might have had a little more Shakti, you know. But even now, you go up to like somebody like 17, 18 years old. Did you ever hear of the Beatles? Who? So fame starts to fade away, like John Lennon in his pride in 1965 said, "We're more famous than Jesus Christ," you know. When we see now Aindra has disappeared from this planet for some 13 years, but the 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan, save and except for Govinda and Bhagavat Purana, if I'm correct in this, everyone who's on the party now never met Aindra or had his association. Is that a correct statement? Yeah.
There's Giridhari Prabhu.
Giridhari, but he's doing his own thing now.
No, he's in the kirtan.
The Giridhari with Ati Sundari as his wife?
The big
No, no.
Giridhari. No.
Big
brahmachari.
Oh, okay, but that's different.
Dadu.
Oh, for Damaraj? Josh. Anyway, you understand the point that as Srila Prabhupada, he is still attracting people to join his Krishna consciousness movement through his books, through the temples he's established, through the devotees that he has inspired. So I'm looking in this room, no one here has had Srila Prabhupada's association, correct? Myself included. But here we are because of Prabhupada's instruction, association, love, kindness, and blessings. So Aindra Prabhu, by his sincerity, has placed himself in a similar category. He's attached himself to the Gauravani, the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he has truly become an immortal, eternal devotee who will inspire everyone for all of time to come, everlasting. So I would like that. Aindra gave a very powerful speech in Varshana the birthplace of growing up place of Srimati Radharani, in this time of year, 2009, and it is a clarion call for the sincere and the heroic to rise to the occasion, the need of the hour. So we would like to hear some of that at this time.
Please remember, and I beseech you again and again, please remember, worldwide ISKCON grassroots non-Sankirtan revolution. Revolution means revolution. It means we have to shed pounds and gallons of blood to get the job done. We have to turn this movement inside out, upside down, whatever we have to do, but we have to put non-Sankirtan back into its rightful place of dignity in the forefront of our movement. It's absolutely essential for the proper growth of our movement. Those who understood this are awake to the need of the hour, and those who have not understood it are still sleeping. It's time to wake up and understand what is the responsibility of every man, woman, and child in this movement. To take seriously that Dharma which Lord Chaitanya himself inaugurated for the deliverance of all fallen conditioned souls. For the rest of this Kali Yuga, there's another 427,000 years left to Kali Yuga. The Yuga Dharma doesn't change. The next Yuga is Satya Yuga. And for them, contemplative, peaceful meditation is where it's at. But in Kali Yuga, you got to get fired up. Every one of you, fired up, chanting, dancing from the heart, like you really mean it, like you really want Lord Chaitanya's mercy, so that you can even think, you can even hope to go back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime. It's not a joke, it's the real thing. So stand up and do what's right. Do the real thing. Perform non-Sankirtan daily, every day, for as many hours as possible. And you'll get there. I guarantee it. Not that I guarantee it. Lord Chaitanya has guaranteed it. The soul has to go back home, back to Godhead. And the way that's going to happen is if the soul agrees to engage all of his psychophysical energies and his whole heart in the performance of Sneha Samyukta Harinam Sankirtan. Sneha means with affection. Samyukta means complete engagement. Full on. Fired up. And back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime.
Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalona Steva Nasti Nasti Vidamita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare
Aindra Prabhu was extremely thoughtful, extremely deep, and extremely voluminous. Aindra had a very high intellect and ability for ascertainment and penetration of Siddhanta, and very, very rare compared to others. He had so much to give that, practically speaking, very few were able to receive what Aindra could give properly. Usually it's the other way around. We want something substantial, but we hardly find anyone who is fit to deliver to our satisfaction. Aindra Prabhu would be very internal and let's say guarded during the daytime, except maybe his people who he knew, he would let into his inner chamber or room. But he would come down for kirtan, which was considered the best slot of the day, just before Sundar Arati, an hour or so, when the most amount of public and most amount of devotees are present, and that was just called Aindra's slot. And he would be so fired up after doing his deity worship. Something should be said. Aindra had a large collection of Shilas, 27 or so deities, 2 Gornitai deities, large and big. He had several Govardhan Shilas, and he ultimately, over the course of his devotional service in Vrindavan, came to have 2,500 Shalagram Shilas. So like we see like the tray that we bring to offer the Guru Puja in, there was something like 14 trays like that and 3 more smaller ones. And I just said, I am not wasting my time. He would spend like 4 hours a day, 3.5 if he, because I am listening to Vaishnav literature. That's one service as I was able to do for Aindra. Read many different literatures of the predecessor acharyas, and Aindra would listen to some of them, to them, many, many, many times over, and he attributed that activity to his knowledge of higher Siddhanta in Krishna consciousness. So he would come down really like energized and fired up, and it would just literally light the temple room on fire. And people would come and want to take his association, and he would be very welcoming in his room. Just this is after the Sundar Arati. So many times from 7:30 at night till like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, or even later, Aindra would be just like preaching nonstop in his room. I remember one night some devotees from Poland came at 7:30, and 3 times they said, we have to leave now, it's getting late. It was like 9:30, 10:45, 11:30, and finally they begged, we have to go, and it was like after midnight. So it's like that saying that if Krishna wants to give you with his 10 hands, how much can you receive in your 2? And that, along with he's such an elevated personality, yet he was so friendly. He attributed that to his country upbringing, and we were all like real friends with each other, and not like in the city where everybody's just all guarded and no eye contact, and at any minute some like anger could erupt and curse words flying or fisticuffs or something worse, so you just always, so it's very, very friendly. Vaishnav etiquette is there, who is senior, who is junior, this and that. But Aindra, his dealings with people in general and devotees was on a higher platform than even Vaishnav etiquette. Like he told to Vrindavan Das, who's now 36 years old, who at the time was only 14, his father, after rudimentary Gurukul in Baltimore, you how to read and write and arithmetic and such. he gave his son, his only son, to Aindra. And there was one like senior Montague, hey, what is this boy doing here with you? He's supposed to be in school. But he went on, and actually he's one of the most permanently qualified devotees now in the movement, Vrindavan, very successful and wonderful devotee. So he's sitting with Aindra at 12 o'clock midnight after Aindra would eat once a day. He took a vow ultimately, he would only eat or take the prasad that he cooked and would offer to his deities. And he would maybe a little relaxing to that if it was cooked in a Brijabasi shop. And then further relaxed if devotees were very reluctantly and rarely he would go to a home program, but his principal Govardhan and Shalakram not principal, but Vijay, small, around his neck or in a little cartel bag, and he would place his deities on the altar in that house and make the offering himself. So, so he told to Vrindavan, you shouldn't think, and Aindra is like, like 49, 50 years old at the time. You shouldn't think of me as older because on the spiritual platform, we're completely equal. We're equally Navayogana. We're equally eternally youthful. So we should relate to each other as brothers. And Aindra's a Prabhupada disciple. Vrindavan wasn't even initiated at this time. So that was how we.
Vishnu.
Vishnu. His name is Vishnu. So I'll read a little. So Aindra, Aindra, in 2004, he had the inspiration to write a book. And there's a lot to be said about this book, but basically, he spent 6 long years writing it. Aindra would always have several projects going at the same time. And his Vrindavan Mellows albums, which were made in the late 80s and early to mid 90s, are considered to be a masterpiece, not just because of their devotional musical expertise, but because under the conditions that he brought this forth, like what's to be considered like a professional, quote unquote, studio album in a place where like electricity is off like 1/3 to 1/2 of the time, and just so much air pollution, austerity, and so many different. The building is noisy. Bring soundproofing foam from New York and bring it there and pad the walls. And so many things. So, and one time he said, my spiritual master's ashram, the Brahmachari ashram, it looks like a prison. So that's where he got the idea to decorate, and he wanted to, and everyone was sleeping on the floor in the rooms. So he made for the 24-hour kirtan bunk beds, and like each bunk would have their own fan in it, and bookshelves. And then, the other brahmacharis, the pujaris, and other brahmacharis in the ashram mumbling and grumbling, they have it, we don't have it. So Aindra very quickly went in and built it all in their rooms too. It wasn't uncommon to go up and see Aindra up on a ladder with all kinds of like dust and debris in his face, and he's like stretching and trying to fix a wire, install a new light fixture. And one of Aindra's qualifications to join the 24-hour kirtan and be a member of the party, are you willing to clean the bathrooms? We want to elevate you to become a GBC, a good bathroom cleaner. And Aindra would personally take the new recruit into the bathroom, and like used to put as a scrubbing brush in India. My goodness, And you bring like lye and just go in there, and this is how you do it. And like clean the toilets And if anyone wasn't willing to do it, then, you know, he wouldn't be admitted onto the Kirtan party. So, he was writing and saying it's done, and then, oh, I have more, and he would add more and more and more. And it was and Aindra was a consummate perfectionist. You know, starting like in the late 90s, it became a habit, or it became, devotees would record Aindra's live kirtans. So we're very lucky. The body of recorded kirtans is enormous. I would think there's more recorded kirtans of Aindra as a kirtaniya than anybody else in the world. But he was very, very reluctant. He didn't like, that this. He called it, this is just Aindra's schlock. What is this? And if anyone who worked with him on his live recordings, Raja Bilas, Prayers to the Dust of Raja, was like consummate perfectionist. It was such an arduous task to get it right. And Aindra, no matter how many hours, no matter how inconvenient, no matter how austere, how uncomfortable, he would not budge an inch in his determination to bring it to the point where he considered it to be perfect, or not even, he wouldn't use the word perfect, acceptable. So Aindra brought this book to that point, and I personally asked him, no more? You don't want to do anything more? He said, no, this is it. Did everything that I've thought of my entire devotional life, I've said it in my mature stage of realization in this book. So, this is towards the end of the book. He's giving the realization, just as the gopis put aside their differences to cooperate, to serve Srimati Radharani for Krishna's Paramananda, supreme perfection. Any experienced self-sacrificing Kirtaniya can positively attest to the greatly encouraging Anandamaya influence, and even more to the intensity of internal heartfelt spiritual enrichment noticed upon the sincere qualitative and quantitative performance of Nam Sankirtan Yagna. It is for this reason that within the society of devotees, so here we are bringing it on home to where we are right now. Within the society of devotees, more stress should be given to Harinam Sankirtan in pursuit of an enhanced Krishna-conscious love, trust, and enlivenment among the groups of individuals who make up the society. Again, I emphasize, as Harinam Japa is required for strengthening the individual devotee, so Harinam Sankirtan is essential for strengthening, revitalizing, unifying, and purifying the Vaishnava community. Translation: everyone should come out. Moreover, such cooperative group endeavor to uplift and enliven the Vaishnava community further synergistically enhances the breadth and depth of the Krishna conscious experience in the community's individuals. The posthumous release of Aindra's live kirtans in the first part of 2010 was made in an MP3, and these are Aindra's own words. 20 Krishna Balaram Mandir 24-hour kirtan mandal is dedicated to the propagation of Harinam Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names of God. It is unequivocally affirmed in all authoritative scriptures that in Kali Yuga, the present age of quarrel and strife, that's the one that we're living in now, in case you didn't know, the only viable method of attaining complete self-purification, self-realization, and self-satisfaction is Hari Nam Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan is the highest practice of, and as well, the perfection of yoga, meditation, and personal sacrifice. It is the highest expression of love for all living beings and the best course for attaining the highest plane of love of Godhead, Braja Prema. If we sincerely desire to deepen and redouble our taste for chanting the holy name, then we would do very well to correctly comprehend and faithfully consign our intelligence to the instructions of our predecessor acharyas, take shelter of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and simply do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we recognize the enormous need to practically expand the ocean of transcendental fortune and bliss to touch the lives of other pious souls in the matter of increasing and maintaining Krishna's family of devotees, then we would surely do well to take shelter of Gaur-Nitai and do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we at all acknowledge the intermutual need to expedite the purification of our Vaishnava relationships, then we would all do very well to concertedly take shelter of Gaur-Nitai and do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we seriously want to go well beyond the bodily concept of life, to realize the highest constitutional spiritual identity of the self, Brajasvarupa, then we would do very well to set all worldly considerations aside, take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we truly desire the perfection of the Braja Bhavas by which we could even hope, ever hope, to attain the pleasure pastimes of the Lord in the topmost realm of Braja, then we would do very well to do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we at all see the need to expedite our progress to the terrace of Vipralamba Bhava Mai Braja Prema for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga in cognizance with the very purpose of their mission, then we would do very well to do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we honestly confessing any delinquency in the matter of its performance sense a deficiency in the evolvement of our individual and collective pure devotional experience as regards insight, revelation, and realization, then we would by all means do very well to abandon all apprehension about the thing and simply do more Hari Nam Sankirtan. If we want the lifelong inspiration to carry on with our transcendental book distribution in a more viable way, then we would certainly do very, very well to do more Hari Nam Sankirtan in order to deeply appreciate and enthusiastically share the very essence of what the books are, in so many words, purposefully promoting. Given that we might, with a view to accomplish the as yet to be realized final half of Srila Prabhupada's mission, deem the reestablishment of Varnashram Dharma in present-day human society to be of paramount importance, even still, we would do very, very well to intelligently put the horse before the cart and concertedly, all the world over, do more Hari Nam Sankirtan to practically increase the piety and spiritual consciousness of the masses in order to even hope to make possible that which is virtually impossible under the present so-called for the people, by the people, heinously roguish, demoniac, world-domineering, crime-syndicated, coerced, corporatist, puppet government, misleading, godless, religio, racist, multinational, corporate elitists, and other hardcore, ruthless, rakshasa-like, terror-breathing global tyrants are not going to politely wait for us, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, to finally, all over the world, wake up to our inalienable right and responsibility to do more and more mass Hari Nam Sankirtan. Institutional management has neither the authority to sanction nor the right to interdict or in any way inhibit the performance of the Yuga Dharma. The will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ultimately pulls rank on institutional authority. Please remember that in Kali Yuga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends from Goloka Dham to protect the sadhus and annihilate the demons by resoundingly manifesting as his holy name on the tongues of his pure devotees. The divine descent of Kali Yuga Krishna Avatar Sri Harinam Rup alone can affect the downfall of such stealthily, individually scheming, media manipulating, latter-day murderous, war money mongering demons and carcass devouring pseudo-religionists of Kamsa's and Putina's class. Like Aindra said, global tyranny is on his way. Don't think otherwise. That was spoken 14 years ago. But at least still now, we have the opportunity to come together and congregationally chant and dance. Even if we prefer to pursue variant paths of spiritual perfection, or even if our all-consuming exigencies cannot go beyond the transitory urgency to put food on the table and give peace a chance. All the same, we would definitely be very, very well to have faith in the youngster for this age and simply do more and more Harinam Sankirtan. Let us not wait till the fag end of life, when varieties of physical and mental decrepitude will render our bodies inoperative, to wisely recognize the principle. The urgency is enormous. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. The time is now. Now is the time for revolution, a revolution of consciousness, a revolution of priorities, a reality check. All personal, communal, institutional, and interinstitutional devotional inadequacies, anomalies, and inequities, as well as all domestic, public, socio-political, governmental, and intergovernmental irregularities of this age can be positively surmounted simply by intelligently administering heavier, more frequent medicinal doses of life-giving Yuga Dharma Sri Harinam Sankirtan. Once again, if we're not part of the solution, then we're part of the problem. We have busied ourselves over the years trying so many other ideas. Why not sincerely concede to this one? And be pleasantly surprised. Like Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, tried to defend Mahatma Gandhi in the independence movement, and he was soundly defeated. I'd never been defeated before in my life, but it wasn't a loss. It was an immense gain. Why not sincerely concede to this one and be pleasantly surprised? Aindra said of himself, and those of us who knew him in New York and then saw his evolvement and development later, the glorification of the attainment of Goloka by His Holiness Kadambakanana Swami. One of the themes in his appreciation and glorification is what he started out as and what he ultimately became. So devotional service to the bona fide spiritual master transforms us from what we were to something beyond our expectation or even imagination. So Aindra was like that, and he said, everything that I've realized and everything that I can think of and understand, it is all because of my doing Harinam Sankirtan for so many years, for so many hours a day. And he said, I'm just as fallen as anybody and everybody else in this Kali Yuga, but enough intelligence has entered into my brain to put the two concepts together. What are the two concepts? This is Kali Yuga, and I am a creature in this Kali Yuga, and there's only one Yuga Dharma for everyone, and I should be doing it. So I put those two together, and I get the result. So you do that too, and see what happens to you. We have busied ourselves over the years trying so many other ideas. Why not sincerely concede to this one and be pleasantly surprised? We hardly expect to revamp the mental climate of an entire society. It is unlikely everyone will be genuine enough to rise to the occasion and seriously implement, but the faithful individuals who do will, beyond a shred of doubt, be recognized by Lord Chaitanya and immensely benefited. So, this New York City Harinam Sankirtan is being driven by my association with Aindra Prabhu, with intelligence and with realization and with heart, but at the same time, in the fog of war, we're simply following this order blindly. Another order that we're beyond doubt, we're beyond question, we're beyond trying to, analyze the thing. Complete faith is there, and already in just 11 years, there are tangible results. I won't enumerate them, but devotees have been made. Some of these devotees are doing very important services in Srila Prabhupada's mission. And we started this Harinam Sankirtan at a time when this temple and this yatra was in a very precarious situation due to bad management and actually fraudulent activity. So we persevered through those times in very difficult situations, which were, let's just say, less than satisfactory. But now the Harinam Sankirtan is based here at the lotus feet of Sri Shivada Govinda for just now 2.5 years. And already there's so much life to this temple from the Harinam Sankirtan. So my humble appeal to everyone is please help as much as possible. I don't pray for, any type of money or fame or recognition, but I do pray for devotees to come forward and take responsibility to make this thing not only go on as it's going, but to increase it by hours and even by multi-locations. This is the most important city in the world. This is where Prabhupada started the movement. The millions and millions of people who live here, millions and millions of people who visit here, either short-term for school or for work, and they need to get Krishna's message. The best way to not worry about your own problems is to take care of other people's problems. And there's an ocean of problems out there because everyone is wasting their life in forgetfulness of Krishna, and their future is very, very dark. Lord Chaitanya has appeared on this planet, and especially and specifically, Srila Prabhupada has appeared in this city. He started this movement, and in the entire United States. Prabhupada, the United States has given me everything, both men and money. I wish to make them, the Americans, happy, and through them, the entire world. So as you're hearing from Aindra, we don't have to worry about, the politics and what's going on out there. I mean, to some degree, you have to know what's going on out there so you're not implicated in such a way that you'll lose your life unnecessarily. But we have faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. We have faith in the process of devotional service, which is everything is included in propagating the holy name of Krishna. We have nothing to fear. We have nothing to be embarrassed about. We have nothing to be in any way you feel anything but transcendental feelings which are appropriate to an heroic and victorious and triumphant self-realized soul, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, who Aindra Prabhu perfectly followed. He attributed all of his instruction and inspiration to Srila Prabhupada directly. Aindra was famous for only having one word spoken to him by Srila Prabhupada in his entire life, in his presence, and that was Aindra was leading a little kirtan, walking up the hill from the Potomac Temple, which is now under renovation, making it into a temple. But it was a short distance. Aindra was leading a little kirtan, but chanting and dancing from his heart. And Srila Prabhupada just looked at him and said, Jai. But that one word, Jai, had so much potency that it inspired Aindra in his performance of Harinam Sankirtan and his performance of Panch Anga Bhakti, performing all other limbs of devotional service to the best of his ability with great inspiration for all of his life and for all of eternity. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So at this time we can have Radha Krishna, who performed, among other things, for Aindra, being the cartel player. Huh?
Sarupa Prabhu is here.
He's coming. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He's coming.
Who? Hansarupa?
He's coming in 10 minutes.
Someone else can.
Yes, that someone else is you.
I have a question. You take questions?
Well, he had this association, so I won't put us all shyness in the back. And be pleasantly surprised.
I can all that.
You can ask. He wants you.
Brevity is the soul of wit, my friend.
We can talk about a little bit how we celebrated his birthday in Vrindavan. There is this couple of devotees, Giridhari Prabhu and Atisundari Mataji. I think they live in Mayapur now.
Do they? They moved from Nagpur?
Yeah, they built another house in Mayapur. Anyway, they were associates of Aindra Prabhu, and they would host we would celebrate there at their place, and Aindra Prabhu would do his puja before going there, and because he couldn't eat anything before finishing his puja, so it would take him a long time. Then we get there, and then everyone is like throwing flowers at him and petals, and he's just shy and smiling. And Mahabhavat Prabhu is cooking the feast with the Russian devotees and Ukrainian devotees.
Would you make this louder or speak louder?
Not to argue.
And he would get there, and then we would have kirtan and a class and a really good feast. And I remember that time he said that he was like, I'm not gonna wait for anyone, to get it together. You have to basically, wake up and do the needful. So at the end, we would shower him again with petals, and then he would serve out the feast. Gopal, there's a picture of Gopal holding the cake, his cake, big cake, and Aindra Prabhu would hand it to everyone, one by one. And then we would go back to the temple and do kirtan. So yeah, like Ram Prabhu was saying that sometimes there's these pure devotees coming into our lives that they're giving us too much, but we can hardly digest, what they give us because it's so intense and so much that we're, distracted by something else. And Aindra Prabhu gave us so much that we cannot really take it all. I mean, he was always very compassionate to everyone. He would have the time for everyone. He would try to help out everyone. And yeah, Ram Prabhu was speaking about the bunk beds. And then one time, when he was building them, they needed to be painted. And he was like, Brother Krishna, you're Mexican, aren't you? So he said for like at least 2 weeks you have to come and only do one shift, and your another 3 hours you have to come up and help me paint the beds. So so I was doing that with him for 2 weeks, and it was like, he was so real and so like, down to earth, He was never like puffed up because he was who he was. He was always trying to engage everyone in service, even if it was painting or washing the toilets. I was watching this morning this video. We went to jail with him, like to a program in Agra, Agra jail program, and like, what was the name? Janakinath.
Yeah.
He convinced him to go to that program, many other programs that we went together. So he agreed to go, and we were there sitting, like when we came to the gates, there were huge gates, and the jail, like the prisoners, like the inmates, they had their own kirtan party. So like they welcomed us, like they would put money on and the dolak and dancing and putting garlands on everyone. And we were like, whoa, what's going on? So then we sat on the stage, and they all came out. There were like at least 2,000 of them. And Aindra Prabhu was doing kirtan, and you could see that he wanted them, like even though they're Indians and like, but they don't have the knowledge of like, how powerful the holy name is. So I remember seeing in his eyes like how like he was so compassionate towards them, and then like after some time they were all dancing, in the courtyard, in ecstasy. And yeah, that was Aindra Prabhu. Like he tried to, bring everyone together, no matter what, no matter your background. So I think that's also important. We have to help each other, like whether you're like have these views or you like this person or not, like all this politics. Like our goal is one, and we should help each other to get there. And how we're gonna get there, like we have Ram Prabhu here, doing Harinam every single day, no matter what. So at least, of course we'll have our own agendas and we're busy doing this and that, but we also have to understand that there is Ram Prabhu with his brahmacharis, with the devotees helping him. So at least 10 minutes of our lives we can go there and clap and chant, and help out. because I'm sure that Ramru Prabhu is on his way to Aindra Prabhu, so if we wanna ever meet him or like meet him again, then we should get on that boat. I wanna thank everyone for always helping Ramru Prabhu. And can you imagine, like, like he's sacrificing too much, like he could be in Vrindavan, living the best life, doing kirtan, but he's here in the subways of New York, just to please Aindra Prabhu. So, I think we should just look deep into our hearts and set our priorities and our goals. And once you have your goal, then just, work on it. Yeah, Hans Roper Pro is here, so.
Go on, let me stop you. I'm just a spectator.
So yeah, Aindra Prabhu gave us life, gave us everything. He was a Prabhupada man all the way, and I think that betraying that gift, that he gave us, like it's like betraying ourselves, Like you came to the pharmacy sick, and the doctor gave you medicine, and like you just neglecting it. When are we gonna get better? So Aindra Prabhu gave us the medicine, which is to be exemplary representatives of Prabhupada. And to me, at least myself, that's all I have in life. Other than that, just a waste. So, yeah, let's take it seriously. Don't just wear a shirt that says, I love Kirtan, and walk around and like actually do it. And as a community, like I said, we should help each other. It's important. Anyhow, Aindra Prabhu ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.
He did not.
What?
In terms of
I don't know what she said.
this thing is
It's a little. Might turn it.
Heavy on the base there. Panchakalpata Vishak, Prasindha Vyavachak, Jidam Pam, and every other. Very fitting that the Lotus Room has become the Maha Mantra Room, especially in regards to Aindra Prabhu. Aindra Prabhu was a pure chanter of the holy name. He started his engagement, towards the end of 55th Street. There was a lot of devotees were coming and going from different places. 55th Street was a very attractive temple, very active, very dynamic. But he really came just before we left 55th Street. And then we moved into a very austere situation.
you described
You already described that?
something.
Having to carry, just similar. He was the acharya for the shopping cart, Harinam program. Everything gets jabbed into one shopping cart. those days we had, for the shopping carts, we were using those luggage carts. And everything would get bungee cord to one of the, you walk up the long, you tell them about the long flight of stairs?
On 7th Avenue,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, come on.
I thought we kept it in what was supposed to be the restaurant, the
Well, yeah.
ground floor, you know.
Well, not in the beginning. In the beginning was, you know, whatever we, you know, because we had workers that would come and go, so we would schlep it. That's a New York term. Schlep it up the stairs into the ashram. And, you know, and it was, it even at that time, you know, just to see it, the way it was configured, it looked a little bit, how can you say, put together, you know, not very professional. We even had the hand cart at one time. We had a hand cart, also same thing. And when we came back here to start to clean the building in 2018, we started cleaning all the areas. The closet opposite us, there's a closet there. That's where Aindra a lot of the stuff used to get stored. So we found all the old mouse amps.
Did you?
A ton of them. Yeah, everybody know what a mouse amp is? It's a little portable speaker.
Kind of like that one.
Oh, yeah, like that. They had mouse, and then they had gorilla, they had, you know, like different configurations of portable amps, battery power, rechargeable. It was the top of the line in those days. And so they used to get stored here. And then I just started building the temple, the mobile temple. That was a big step up. And that mostly took place in Balaram Hall, all the casting, right where Mukundas right now has his workshop. So that was the temple workshop. That was our, you know, for doing all the renovation and everything. And so, yeah, that was a very special endeavor. He put his entire existence into that, putting that together. With the molds, he literally cast them, you know, the molds and everything. Fiberglass, and burnt out every nose hair and fiber in his system until he couldn't even smell a thing. Literally could not smell a thing. It was like that. But and so I sent some photos that I had taken to, what was that book? Who did we send those to, those photos?
They never used them.
They never used them.
Those are
Did you
pictures
show
of
them?
like on the street.
Did you put them on the screen, show everybody? We used to chant at Grand Army Plaza.
Those are from the 7th Avenue days.
That was 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
That was the 7th Avenue, and very nice. We used to chant. We used to take Little Radha Krishna out. That was before anyone stopped us. So every Harinam we would take Little Radha Krishna out in a palanquin and go to Grand Army. Everyone knows where Grand Army Plaza is? Okay.
5th and 59th. And where Columbus Circle is,
Yeah.
the west side to the east side.
And we would chant there. And huge crowds, always huge. That was a traditional place. We've been chanting there since like 1967. So it's a famous spot for Harinam. Lots of pictures from the old days in BTG and things like that. And that was a very sweet. And I had taken some photos. And we sent them, but they didn't use them. And then I can circulate them since they we were holding them because they didn't publish them. But I'll put them on the residence chat. And there were a lot of when you see Aindra, how young he looks, it's pretty amazing. And being in Vrindavan makes you a little bit of grizzled and old, and it's a tough, austere existence. But and when he came, and after, let's see, about 1980, I left for Vrindavan with my godbrother Kormarupa in 1984. And then, no, it won't work.
Laptop.
And we had told Aindra to come at that time, but he was very much attached to the Sankirtan in New York City. But it was only a matter of time because the situation here was becoming a little bit awkward, you can say. He was having conflicts. So then he told us, I'm coming. I said, okay, we're waiting, we're here. You know, Vrindavan was, in those days, was very special. You know, we were building Prabhupada Samadhi, we were doing a lot of renovation in the Gurukul. He had a lot of opportunity for different types of service, but he was kind of unsure. You know, there's no Harinam in Vrindavan. I mean, you'd do Harinam in Vrindavan once or twice a year. Because, you know, everything's in the temple, you don't go. We used to go on Gopastami, go through the town with the cows, all of Vrindavan. And, you know, other than that, everything is basically in the temple. So then, when he came, he was a little unsure. There was no rush to, you know, hook up with any particular type of services. But he wasn't exactly sure what he was going to do, since he was, you know, couldn't bring his deities, he couldn't bring, you know, he can't bring the truck, you know, he basically just came with the clothes on his back. I don't think he was worshiping anybody at that time when he came.
I think he had his Gaudi
He brought Gaudi time?
That was all.
That was it, he did bring the Gaudi, okay, so. And you can see them, if the same deities, and I think he still had them in the mobile, he used to use them in the mobile van.
He did.
Yeah, in the mobile truck. But one of our god brothers, Sarva Bhavanapur, who translates a lot of books from Bengali into English, he was the classmate of Bhakti Charu Maharaj in Germany. They were students together. And he joined first in Germany. And you could say, if you knew him, you'd know these two, Bhakti Charu Maharaj and Sarva Bhavanapur, two peas in a pod. They're very scholarly, you know, really upper class Bengali gentlemen before they joined. He was in charge of the guest house. His good wife, she's German. I can't remember if she's still there or not. But in any case, he approached me. I was the project manager of Vrindavan at the time. So he approached me and says, you know, I have a live member who wants to sponsor a Akhanda Kirtan. And we had a very sporadic Akhanda Kirtan program at the time. You know, mostly people sleeping at night in the temple room and whispering the Maha Mantra. It wasn't very... But, I mean, it's just the way it was. You know. And this gentleman said, we need somebody to head it up. And it was just like not a light bulb, like a lightning explosion. I said, oh, we have just the person, let me ask him. I went to Aindra and I said, Aindra, you know, Krishna's just fulfilled your desires. So they want to restart the 24-hour kirtan, I mean, with a good flux of cash to start it up. And he was, well, I'm not sure with that. I said, Prabhu, you know, this is Krishna is sending you this personal invitation. How else would it have happened? You came, he's offering. And I said, we'll give you whatever you need, facility-wise, you know, so I said, at least try it. So he agreed. He said, oh, you know, especially in Vrindavan, no. I said there were a few souls who volunteered, and it basically became Aindra's Bhakti program. So, you know, people started coming, and then we arranged the rooms. It was a little difficult to get rooms in the Gurukul. Because well, there was a school and there were students. And the top floor was a brahmacharya ashram, but it was also residence for teachers and things like that. So it was a little tight. But anyway, we managed to get a room. The room is still there. Not for long. They're going to take that building down.
Yeah.
So, but that of course became famous. I heard Radhakrishna talking about, did you talk about the bunk beds or the bed bunks? What did you talk about? Bed bunks and bed bugs, okay. You didn't tell anybody about the bed bugs? You have to really, that was one of the side benefits of being in the...
Really?
Yeah, sure. You got to donate blood to the Vrindavan, to the Brijbasi bed bugs. Yeah, it's okay. It's Vrindavan. But it was very to see Aindra progress into that mood, where it became everything again to him, just like it was in New York, his life and soul. He just lived and breathed Harinam and made every effort to make a program that Srila Prabhupada would be proud of. That was the key, to have these half-hearted, 24-hour kirtans. It was not nice, it was kind of, we were just, they were just doing it mechanically. But when he came, it was just like a whole new episode in Krishna Balaram Mandir. And that was, and of course that was, Aindra's, everlasting contribution. It's become the signature, that Vrindavan's 24-hour kirtan. And of course we encourage everyone at some point to try it out, and not half-heartedly, but if you're gonna go, you should go and really dedicate some time. And, at some point in your mature devotional life, and that, because it's not for, we could say it's not for neophytes, we're all neophytes, but it's not for those who are not serious, because you really have to, it's just like the situation here. If you were sick, Aindra didn't care if you were sick. He didn't care if you were tired. He didn't care he didn't care for excuses. There was no such thing. You had to be a heart and soul dedicated. It was just, that was the entrance. He wouldn't take any, slack. So, this is something that everyone at a certain point will, hopefully, they'll recognize that their relationship is not based on some material situation. But, as a matter of fact, I don't even remember Aindra ever being sick.
He would just soldier.
No, he would go through it, but I mean, not sick. Sick means you're on the deathbed, you can't crawl out even. I never remembered that, seeing that situation. And, such a strict practitioner. Remember how he would do chaturmas?
Started in 1983, and then if you go in the Balaram Hall, directly on the right of the lock, there's a painted silver door. That was Aindra's office. That's where he started during chaturmas in 1983.
Yeah, so it was not, chaturmas according to the original intent, so he would, you eat once a day, only unsalted khichdi, only as much as you could eat by, you sit on the floor like you're sitting on the floor, you put your head down into the plate, your face into the plate like a dog, and then you eat. And whatever you can eat that one time going, as soon as you get up, that's it, you're finished. That's your day's meal. Anybody want to try? Come up with a big face full of khichdi. We didn't have cameras, there was nothing viral at the time, but
Chaturama was a participant.
Chaturama was a participant. It even got worse because you're growing your beard. So you had this beard and face full of khichdi when you came up like that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty intense. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not for everybody. But he carried that tradition on faithfully. This is, there's a lot of things that build your devotion bank account. Being serious about stuff like that. It's not, like I said, it's not a trick. It's not something that's not a fad. When you do it for the right reason, and then you get the right result. So there's, of course, that things were going on. Aindra was always there. He was a constant. That's also a nice, when someone is part of a program like that in a big international temple, there's a lot of, how can you say, enthusiasm generated that just permeates the entire atmosphere. And as you can see, look at all these videos of Aindra. I mean, that was also another thing, right at the right time, you started getting this type of exposure. Because that wasn't until what, 95, 96? At the earliest. Up until then, it was just, whatever, you didn't know about it unless you came to the temple or you heard about it from somebody else. Somebody had the cassette, the recorder, and circulated some tapes, things like that. So it was pretty, and he was right on the cutting edge. And of course we have those CDs here. We still have probably hundreds or maybe even thousands of those
There's a
upstairs
lot
to
of
push
them.
them home, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And they, and those were produced here, you know, the devotees here, Rama Bhaja was, you know,
We remastered them.
remastered them, yeah.
I was saying he produced them in Vrindavan
Right.
under very austere situation.
Right, so then they were cleaned up and then they were printed here, I guess, and we could say. So there's a lot to be said, but I mean, if we want to take away anything of, you know, for our personal advancement in spiritual life, was Aindra's Vyavasaya Mekabud here, his one pointed, absolutely one pointed focus, you know, in making the 24-hour kirtan something that she'll probably be proud of, and that should be everyone's ultimate, you know, their motivation is to do something, you know, to please the spiritual master. And you could start off washing the pots, that's not a problem, but at a certain point, you know, you have to, in your offering to the guru, it was like, just look at what Srila Prabhupada did, you know, he crossed the ocean. I was listening to one lecture this morning, Prabhupada saying how, you know, when he came over, you know, he went to Port Authority to get on the bus to Butler. He had no idea what was going on, really. He said he was basically afraid, not knowing where to get off the bus, how to ask people, just unfamiliar. And he said that fear is stems from ignorance. He was using an example, so he used himself. That because he was ignorant of the situation, the protocol, the procedure, the ticketing, and therefore there was fear. And so in this situation, so we have a nice opportunity to engage in some austerity. I mean, genuine austerity, not, you know, even just getting up at 3:30 in the morning. This is something, but there's people all over the world getting up at 3:30 in the morning to go out and go to work and, you know, go on, you know, do whatever, some mundane activity. So this is not the real austerity. Real austerity is to use this opportunity in a temple to prepare yourself to go and do something for the spiritual master that the whole world will recognize. You know, don't think small. I mean, everyone here has the same potential as Aindra or any of the devotees that came from the Henry Street Temple, the 55th Street Temple, that Kormaruparu. Look what he did with what they call care for cows. You know, just a humble effort. He was a Gurukul teacher, but you know, he was a very learned person. If you listen to Kormarupa's lectures on Hitopanishad, which are available on the VIHE website, I told you about those. You know, here's a person who's living in Vrindavan was, you could see it there, how he blossomed into this scholar, but at the same time, such a compassionate person that he had to feed the cows. You know,
Bhakti program for New York.
Bhakti program right here.
I'm a product of that.
We had set up right in the rooms upstairs, right in 410 and 409, and that was so it's a very holy place here, Ram Lake, and well, many actually.
The first 5 months of my devotional life were spent with Kormarupa.
We set up a satellite Bhakti program up in Fairfield, Hartford, Connecticut, East Hartford. That was a Sankirtan outpost.
You're where you get the flowers.
Yeah. Now we get the flowers. So a lot of devotees, you know, did so much unique. So, you know, don't think small that I'm just going to be an anonymous. You think big, but think big in relation to the society and to the spiritual master. What can I do to please them? It's not facetious. It's not something that, you know, just, it's not ego. It's not ambition. If it's genuine, then it's love. But, you know, you have to cut through all that ambition and ego and like that. And you make an offering. So this is, he's an example. I hope people take it more than just like I said, well, you know, the lip service, you know, the groupie mentality. You know, when Aindra was not, he didn't like people who were just like fakers. None of us do. I mean, we're old school. Kormarupa had a specific name for those persons. Do you remember what that name was? You don't remember from being 5 months association? You know, remember. You called them jokers.
Really. I think he withheld that term from us newbies.
No, well, maybe.
He didn't want to scare us.
Could be. But, yeah, if, you know, we address pretenders and people who are, you know, just fakers, you know, he would call them jokers. And that's, you know, again, all these devotees were very special in their own unique ways. He would, you know, Kwamarupa was a journalism student at Texas A&M, you know, was a correspondent, you know, during the Vietnam War. And all these devotees did so many things. And then went on to police Prabhupada in so many ways. And Care for Cows is still going on, 24-hour kirtan is still going on. This is the test of these different programs. So, you know, I hope all of you have the opportunity to start a program that goes on and on and on and becomes a known world over. And so, any other things we should mention?
Well, we could go on and on, but because we want to start the Harinam on time,
Oh, very good.
we will conclude.
Start
We
there
will
right
have a
now.
kirtan at the conclusion, but that kirtan will take place in the Times Square subway.
Times Square subway, very good.
We would go outside, but it's a tad too cold.
Yeah, we don't want anybody.
But we have the Times Square next Saturday, and the 10-day forecast, it's looking like it'll be okay. So please, everybody, come and the first big outdoor festival of the year.
Aindra Prabhu ki jai.
And it's a nice feast. There was an amazing cake which my Radha made, and it is in the Balaram Hall. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
In honor of Aindra's Balaram pastimes.